Hey babe, guess what? That's it, I said, babe, I can legally call this a girlfriend roleplay now. But the truth of it is that I've hit 15,000 subscribers, so I thought, hey, why don't I give myself the day off? And it's October, so why don't I just repost some of my old cringe content that I unlisted forever ago? Now, it's thematically fitting because it is creepypasta related, but it's also an analysis. I don't even know how to explain what I was thinking. I made this video back when that Slender movie came out, and it's mostly just an info dump of all the thoughts I had on the creepypasta fandom, and I did basically no research for it. I was just talking, and because it's an info dump, I was talking really fast, so I did everyone a favor and slowed it down by about 2%, and I also censored some stuff, and my face, because you guys don't get to see my face yet. Still got another 85,000 subscribers to go. But please, enjoy my old cringe. I'm sure it'll be a horrifying experience. With the upcoming release of the Slender Man movie, which, by the way, looks generic as all hell and is coming out about 6 years too late, I've been thinking a lot about something I haven't thought about in a while. Creepypastas. When I was younger, I didn't call them creepypastas because I was unfamiliar with the terminology. I just saw them as scary stories that happened to be found online, with a spooky photo attached. And at its most basic level, that's exactly what creepypastas are. A couple years ago, I became fascinated with the creepypasta fandom. Not so much the stories and characters, but the fandom itself. As far as I know, and I won't pretend to know everything, the fandom is made up of mostly teenagers and those about to become teenagers. And they're in an odd position. I say that because the most well-known creepypasta fanatics are murderers. If you search real-life creepypasta murders on Google, you'll get more than a couple hits. The two that I think of immediately are the girls that attempted to murder their classmate for Slender Man, and the girl who stabbed her stepmother for Laughing Jack. There might be a few others, but that's not what I want to focus on. The thing is, despite these terrible things happening, creepypastas still have fans. Probably a lot less than when they were in their heyday, but the fans still exist. Creepypasta characters are murderers, or demons, or ghosts, or whatever, and most of them are pretty bad dudes, and not the rescue the president kind of bad. Yet, people grow attached to them. And I think one of the reasons why is due to their lack of solid canon. For most creepypastas, all you have to go on is the original story and maybe a photo. Their personalities are sometimes completely unknown. Even Slender Man, who's had entire video series made about him and a movie, has no official defined personality. He just pops up and makes people disappear or go crazy. I'm not totally sure what he does, really. When a character has no defined personality besides is crazy and murders people, it leaves a lot open for interpretation. And by interpretation, I mean headcanons. But the thing is, these characters are boring on their own. If you want to tell a story getting into their personalities, you can't have them converse with a regular person because they'd just kill that person. And this is why I say creepypasta fandom. It can't just be the Jeff the Killer fandom or the Ben Drowned fandom, it has to be the creepypasta fandom. All of them. Because if there are people these monsters can interact with, it has to be other monsters. I remember once seeing a post on Tumblr a while back that was listing facts that I guess the fandom didn't acknowledge or didn't even know, I can't remember. One of the things it said was, there is no Creepypasta Manor in canon. Now, the Creepypasta Manor is a recurring location in creepypasta fanfiction. Basically, it's a mansion that's possibly in another dimension where all the characters live, and it usually belongs to Slender because he's OG. Not that he is OG, but given his popularity, he's usually the first creepypasta most fans have heard of, so they treat him like so. And the first thing I thought when I read that line about the manor not being canon was, of course it's not. Did anyone think it was? Then I realized there wasn't really much canon to begin with. Anytime these characters interact, it's a flagrant ignorance of canon. Because in the original stories these characters appeared in, they didn't meet any other creepypastas. There's no creepypasta cinematic universe where it's all connected. These characters were created for their own stories that were all written by different people. The only reason why there's content of these characters interacting at all is because of the fandom. Of course the manor isn't canon. None of it's canon. It's also lazy writing, in a way. It's an excuse for the pastas to live with and interact with each other without having to write about how they would meet realistically. The way I see it, the desire to have these characters living together and interacting while also doing evil things to regular people on the side is the same desire that brought us Freddy vs. Jason. It's just kinda cool to see your favorite villains working together and being horrible. Creepypasta crossover fics where they all live in a big house and sometimes they kill people is kind of like a slice of life slasher movie. It's chill, but it's also a bit spooky. I can see the appeal, even if I'm not into it. But it's one thing to enjoy the character interactions, personalities, or even fan art the fandom has created for these creepypastas. It's another thing entirely to want to date one. Reader insert fanfics are the light of my life. I'm serious. I will defend them until the day I die. They're like text-only dating sims with your favorite characters, and they are wonderful. And yet, this format of fanfiction is sometimes used to insert the reader into a relationship with a murderer. I even made a video about it once when I stumbled upon a creepypasta 7 Minutes in Heaven story on DeviantArt. That was years ago. I was shocked and confused then, but I think I understand now. And honestly, while I won't disparage anyone for reading these stories, it's weird how many there are. There are thousands of these stories, some multiple chapters in length, for any creepypasta you can think of and any you can't think of. Slenderman, Ben Drown, Jeff the Killer, Laughing Jack, Eyeless Jack, Zalgo, Darklink, Sonic.exe, those haunted Pokemon games. These guys aren't even creepypastas, but the fandom has absorbed them into the fanon, so okay. And it raises the question, why do people want to bang these monsters? Is it the fan art that twists their character designs into something actually attractive? These are really well drawn, by the way, kudos. Or is it the personalities that the fandom has injected into them? Excuse me for making assumptions, but I think it's because their characterizations are so flexible that they can mold into almost anything you want, and that they're murderers. I know it sounds crazy, but when I consider the people reading these stories, I think I kinda get it. They're young people, probably still trying to figure themselves out, and a lot of young people handle that by being super edgy. I did that. I went the edgy atheist route for about a year in high school, and some people go the edgy, dark, weirdly interested in true crime and horror route. Or maybe they get into the stories because it's an escape for them. A fantasy. Your boyfriend is a killer, but he won't kill you because you're special. Common themes I've noticed in these stories are abusive parents, bullies, and difficult life situations in general. I think these stories are certain young people's way of dealing with things. In real life, your parents don't get you, people at school are jerks, you're depressed, and shit seems bleak. In a fictional story, you get to take control of the bleakness and work it to your favor. A typical setup is the creepypasta coming to kill the reader, but they don't do it because the reader is interesting or pretty or nice or insert trait here. The relationship forms from there, with the reader being incredibly forgiving of the attempted murder, and everything else falls into place. You're sad? Here's a psychotic person that looks monstrous yet weirdly attractive who's head over heels for you. Bullies bothering you? Now they're dead. Your home life is bad? Your crazy murderer partner is going to take you to live with them in a mansion with all their crazy and interesting friends that also kill people. You've escaped the boring real world and all your responsibilities. You're now free to live the life of a criminal who will never be caught. And while it's weird to have the catalyst for this fictional escape be a murdering psychopath that also wants to date you, I get it. You could have achieved the same escape with like a magical forest creature that steals the reader away, but when you're young and not so great at coming up with something original, you turn to what you know. And you know that a creepypasta's personality can be basically anything you want, and the fanon has told you that they all live far away from your boring, depressing reality in a big house where they spend their days doing whatever they want. Kind of like Ruby Gloom, but with murder and no defined canon. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's weird, and maybe a little concerning, but most will grow out of it. It's just something that helps them get through the admittedly hard times young people have to deal with. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's just porn, but sometimes it's helpful. The creepypasta fandom is weird, but at the end of the day, if they're aware the stories are fictional and they aren't hurting anyone, then it's fine. The people that go crazy and kill in the name of Slender Man are the kind of people who would have done that for just about any reason. Let fandoms be fandoms, I guess. Man, I'm not sure why I made a video on this topic in particular. It's not like I wanted to go out of my way to defend creepypasta fans or anything. I guess that shit-looking movie dredged up my old fascination with the fandom, and I just wanted to talk about it and what I learned from it. Yeah, this was a weird way to celebrate 3,000 subscribers. Well, now, this is really convenient because this is my 15,000 subscriber video, and it was also my 3,000 subscriber video. That's 2 specials. That's 2 subscriber specials for the price of 1. Never let anybody tell you that I'm not economically conscious.